Sal Capaccio checking in live from Houston. Houston's the what city?
Isn't it massive?
Yes,
like
that's
just
true.
in surface area, it's like huge.
I don't know what the Houston City nickname is. I got Queen City, the Flower City, the Houston is Space City. Okay, that makes sense.
All right, I like
Space
that.
City.
Right.
Also H-Town, of course. Magnolia City, Energy Capital, and other nicknames include Clutch City after some of the Rockets' clutch wins over the years.
City.
I guess
They can't be Clutch City.
Yeah, Bayou City. Anyway, Sal is in the Space City in Houston. Sal, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, Space City. It is also, yes, H-Town. They call it H-Town. And it is, you're right, Joe, massive. Like in land area, larger. I think Jacksonville, Florida might be the largest city as far as actual area. I read that somewhere, heard that when I was living down there. But, I mean, Houston, when you come here, you could say to somebody, I'm over here, you want to meet somewhere else, and it's, so far away on the other side of town, but it's still Houston.
Yeah. It's 665 square miles.
Yeah.
Houston.
Wow.
Which is about 40% the size of Rhode Island. The city.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyway. Well, Sal, good morning. Thanks for joining us. I know you're up a little early out there in Houston. It's a short week, and the Bills are right to work. We know you talked with head coach Sean McDermott yesterday, part of the Extra Point Show, kind of ruling some players out. And your question about Keon Coleman, you asked, and they said they would take it day to day. We don't have official designation, so we don't know this to be true yet. But Cover One's reporting, as they did last week, accurately and first, that it looks like Coleman will be a healthy scratch again. Would that surprise you? And we kind of get to a conversation here about when do we think he'll come back?
No, it wouldn't surprise me. I said all week that I think it's on the table, but I never really could figure out either way what they would do. To me, it was always kind of a 50-50. But for me, part of it was it's a quick turnaround after a game in which the offense looked so good. Not because we want him necessarily keep disciplining Keon Coleman or he did something wrong again, right? To me, it was, okay, even with the injuries, you could justify, because let's take a look mechanically how this could work. Without Mecole Hardman, you have Brandon Codrington, who was just re-signed to the practice squad. You could make a one-for-one switch. Now, do we know for sure Brandon Codrington's playing? No, because elevations come out later today. But they did re-sign him this week, and he will be a return man. And Khalil Shakir has not practiced all week, guys, and he's dealt with ribs and ankles. So to me, it's I don't know if you're going to have him return punts. So that means, to me, Brandon Codrington becomes that guy. Okay, so that's not where Keon Coleman would fit. And then you look at Curtis Samuel being out. Well, you already have Elijah Moore inactive. And honestly, Curtis Samuel and Elijah Moore have kind of been taking turns of playing a little bit of the same role, so to speak. And then there's no way you're, taking away the reps that Tyrell Shavers gave you after what he gave you on the boundary last week. And then I guess it would just simply come down to, is Gabe Davis healthy enough? Did he come out of the game well enough, conditioning enough, everything to say, yep, he's going right back in? If the answer is no, then you could easily find a path for Keon Coleman. If the answer is yes, I don't know where he fits in, to be quite honest with you. That's where I always landed on it.
Yeah,
Sure.
I posted earlier, Sal, you're kind of saying this too, that if you kind of think of where they line up in the roles, Coleman's primarily been their big-bodied X receiver, and if Davis and Shavers are both giving you what you want on that front, I don't even know that Coleman is really competing with the likes of Moore and Samuel.
That's right.
For playing time. It's Davis and Shavers, and what's the path to get over one of those two?
That's exactly right. And as I've said a few times this week, Tyrell Shavers gave you everything that you would always hope that Keon Coleman would give you in that one game. We don't know if he's going to continue to do that. Maybe it was one game and then, okay, well, I guess that was a flash in the pan. But I think that from what they've seen from Tyrell Shavers in 3 years, and it's always important to remember that, Tyrell Shavers has been here 3 years. He understands this offense. He understands the nuances of it. He understands scramble drill, all that stuff that goes into playing that position. He's a willing blocker. He's actually not a bad blocker, actually. So all of those things have to get baked into it. So are you going to leapfrog Keon Coleman over Tyrell Shavers after last week? I would say certainly not. And then it's got to be Gabe Davis. And Gabe Davis, you could still elevate twice. Now that also is another kind of thing you have to play with, which is, because of the injury to Hardman, if you are going to elevate Codrington, where else on the roster would you might need somebody? If you have other injuries where you're going to need somebody. And the reason I bring that up is last week they elevated Kaliki Latu at tight end to give you a third tight end. There is no Dalton Kincaid again. So if you have to elevate Kaliki Latu, well, then you can't elevate both Codrington and Gabe Davis, which again brings you back to, is that another path for Keon Coleman?
Right. Then, Sal, there's the what happened. I mean, is Gabe Davis just is destined for the 53, though?
It's a good question. I thought about this. I mean, you could sign Gabe Davis 53, then who's coming off? You could put someone on IR. I mean, I did ask Sean McDermott if there was any concern between with Hardman or Samuel long term. He said no, not that he believes, but he called them after that week to week. But they could decide simply because they want to get Gabe on the 53, they could do that. And he does have 2 elevations remaining, but right, Jeremy, to your point of, well, you might not be able to get an elevation because of what you got to do around the roster. Maybe that's the other way to do it. I just think there's so many things at play here. To answer the original question, no, it would not surprise me. It never would surprise me if Keon Coleman was inactive, but I always felt that it was going to be tough because of how they played, because of the numbers and the 4-day turnaround.
Sal, if they put Davis on the 53-man roster at some point, that'll be 8 wide receivers on the 53.
Unless you do something with Curtis Samuel, right, with his injury, or move on from him, or Elijah Moore or something like that. You're right. Yeah, they would have 8. But you kind of put McCole Hardman in his own bucket. But he does actually play. He played 4 snaps last week in his first game, and they did throw the ball to him down the field. You could also put Hardman, obviously, on IR, but he's more of a return man. So, yeah, you're right. It would be a pretty large number at that position, Joe.
Bills and Texans tonight from NRG Stadium. Sal, the Texans defense comes in with lots of accolades, a big reputation for being good at everything. The numbers for the Texans defense are they do almost everything really well. So, that said, do you have a thought on how this offense gets going, what they should do, how they should attack in this game?
No, I'm at a loss to figure that one out because these guys are really good, as you mentioned, and they'll come off the edge on you. They're very good in the middle. When you talk about Will Anderson Jr., Daniil Hunter, Sheldon Rankins, and our buddy Tim Settle is having a nice year for them in the middle as well. They're good at every level. The one area I think that tonight could be a little different because of the injury is Jalen Petrie. Jalen Petrie is their nickel corner. He is very much considered here like the Bills consider Taron Johnson and what we have over the years with how important he is to everything they do, no matter the personnel you put on the field. He also can play safety. He's like a hybrid chess piece nickel corner. His backup is Miles Bryant. Petrie's not playing tonight, which means Bryant is going to play most likely. Where do you remember Miles Bryant from?
I don't.
Miles Bryant, I don't think I do.
He is the guy that played for the Patriots that Isaiah McKenzie beat.
Oh,
that
okay.
game.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm wondering, is this a game where maybe you have something planned for Elijah Moore? Maybe that's who you attack. Maybe to me, this is a game where you got to find a matchup that's in your favor. You find a matchup and you say, we're going to figure that out. We're going to go to that. That could be in the run game too. Maybe you do something that you think that on the offensive line you can go that way. But I do think that's a sneaky matchup tonight where if the Bills can exploit that because Petrie's out and Miles Bryant is in, maybe you get an Elijah Moore on him. Maybe
Shakir, maybe.
Shakir on him, right? I mean, Shakir did miss a couple days. Congratulations to him and his wife. They had a baby. That's why he was out for personal reasons. But that's where it is. I'm trying to find stuff, guys, because they are so good, right? Yeah. They really are. They're really good. I would guess that the Bills would want to lean into the run game as much as possible because what you don't want to do, even if you can't completely run the ball, what you don't want to do against this defense is become one-dimensional as an offense and have them pin their ears back and just come after Josh Allen. You can't do that. That is not going to be healthy for anybody, and that's a recipe for disaster.
We started the toy with the injury report here, Sal. We'll get to more of it and bring you that. The Barnes Firm Injury Report brought to you by the Barnes Firm. For injured, for help, call 1-800-8-million. It's a long list. If you just look at the screenshot, there's a lot of names, but to me, that is a short week injury report, right? You have guys that are limited, and then like Benford, Bernard, Bosa, all practicing in full. Taron Johnson, Daquan Jones. So who we're looking at here is what? Phi Mathis and anybody else in terms of who maybe they will or won't go?
Yeah, it's interesting. Phidarian Mathis is questionable, but he didn't play the last 2 games. And it's good that he's questionable at least and not out because at least gives the Bills options. Right now they actually have 6 defensive tackles on the roster. After going through a time where they had 3, they have 6 defensive tackles on the roster. Jordan Phillips, Badarian Mathis, T.J. Sanders, Larry Ogunjobi, Deion Walker, Daquan Jones, the Bills can kind of mix and match. What do they want to do? Who do they want elevated? By the way, let's go back to your question, Jeremy, about Gabe Davis on the 53. Maybe that's where they trim from, right? Defensive tackle, because they have 6 guys right now on the active roster. But after, seeing T.J. Sanders last week, what did they see from him? You're right. So Badarian Mathis is the one guy who's questionable, and you're right that it's a short week. It's the greatest example of it being a short week. Look at the bottom of the Bills injury report at the note, which says Buffalo held a walkthrough practice on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So there you go. I mean, they really didn't go hard this week. When we were down there on Tuesday, they did do what seemed like more of a walkthrough, but even the Bills termed it a walkthrough because they didn't have a super full normal practice that you would during a week.
Shaq Thompson in full looks like he might be good to go to return.
Yeah, that's a good question, though. He didn't last week and he was full.
Yeah.
I just wonder about that. Like, what was it just because, they could have played the game last week where, and I would understand this, a guy that's been out, he's a little older. If you put him on the field last week and he has any tweak at all, he's not playing this week, right? Because it's 4 days. So let's back off him. Let's make sure he gets another full days. So really, in a sense, he only plays one game in, 14 days instead of trying to play 2 games in 4 days. So that might be why, but you're right. He could very well be full. And then you see what his role is, because I did think Terrell Bernard played better last week. I still think he's dealing with the ankle. You can tell that. There's no doubt. I know they got run on a lot last week, but I thought Terrell Bernard moved much better. I thought he hit holes better and gaps better. He had 2 tackles for loss, and maybe even more of an example would be because of how he covered last week. He had 2 pass breakups. I thought he moved better last week, so we'll see what the linebacker situation is. And Dorian Williams has done a nice job when he's been on the field for them lately.
If Thompson's available and Williams also, would you see this being a game where they would line up with 3 linebackers a lot? Because the one thing Houston cannot do, Sal, is run the ball. But I don't know if the Bills would feel like they have any right to think that we could stop them with our nickel package, because they have had trouble stopping a lot of teams.
Yeah, I think they'll just try to match up personnel, Joe, as much as possible. But you're right. This isn't a team that you go into the game like the Baltimore Ravens and go, okay, we're going to have 3 linebackers on the field a lot. This is probably a game where Taron Johnson's still on the field quite a bit. We'll see what they do as far as who they want to throw out there. Dalton Schultz, a very good tight end. He's a good blocker. He's a very good receiver, as you guys know. They love to go to him. This game, for me, from the defensive side, comes down to one real big thing, and that is stopping and at least slowing down Nico Collins. I mean, this guy is really good, as we know. He beat the Bills last year in that long touchdown. But did you see his numbers the last 2 weeks? Ever since Davis Mills has become the starter, it is basically, I am throwing the ball to Nico Collins whenever I can. He had 16 targets and 190 yards over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, they're just going to throw the ball to Nico Collins. You have to stop him tonight.
No C.J. Stroud. It'll be Davis Mills instead. Sal joining us on the Western Hotline ahead of Bills Texans. Curtis Samuel, week to week. He and Hardman both said to be week to week, according to the head coach. And, Sal, it's tough. Like, the Bills, this week has been a lot about trust with Keon Coleman and trusting him to be ready and be prepared and be on time. And with Curtis Samuel, it is really tough to trust he's going to stay healthy, because he just really does not. In 2 years now, he's always banged up.
Yeah, that's right. And I agree. I mean, you can't count on a game plan, and if you don't know if the guy's going to be available. And when that keeps happening inconsistently, that's really tough for anybody to figure out what's happening. So you might have to make decisions then, even if somebody's healthy and he's not playing. Then it becomes a real big, like, okay, to your point, I can't trust that. So how would I plan for a game? So we'll see what the Bills do tonight. I'm very interested in the Keon Coleman situation. If the report is correct that he is a healthy scratch, then obviously there's going to be a lot more asked about it. But again, you go back 4 days. They played well last week. Is it something where, okay, we're going to, play this out. Let's see how we look tonight. And who knows, if they look really good again tonight and those guys have another nice night and they throw the ball, maybe we're talking 10 days from now that the same thing's happening in Pittsburgh.
Sal Capaccio joining us ahead of Bills Texans. Finally, Sal, Josh Allen, Offensive Player of the Week in the AFC.
Yeah.
The 17th time for number 17 to get that honor, and we'll see what he's got tonight to follow it up on the road in a short week.
Yeah, for sure. Josh, Offensive Player of the Week, and want to say congratulations to our buddy Steve Tasker. How about that, right? Get into the final 9 of the Senior Committee Hall of Fame nominees. It's amazing. And I guess what they do now is they pare it down to 3 guys, okay? They pare it down to 3. The way I understand it, I think this is the operation of it. I could be wrong. There's some confusion on this. I was trying to read, but they pare it down to 3 via votes. And then out of the 3, either 0, 1, or 3 could all go in because you need 80%. Like you just go in the room, and if you don't get 80%, you're out. If you do, you're in. But so you could have all 3 get 80%, or because you have different committees that do this, right? Different committees that get it to 9, to get it down to 3, and then finally the vote on the 80%. So that would be awesome if Steve Tasker would do that. So congratulations to him. And Joe, I have to tell you, I mean, I think that you are really biased against fullbacks or something with Reggie Gilliam. Like, what? Wait, Joe, when years ago, Jeremy, remember, Joe, you might remember this too. Everybody knew and recognized the best athlete on the team was Kyle Williams, a defensive tackle, years ago. Like, he could do anything. Kyle Williams is an incredible golfer. He's a great swimmer. Yeah. Just because a guy has a bigger body and plays a position you wouldn't think it doesn't mean he's not a great athlete.
That's right. But Kyle Williams also would have been, the strongest player on the team? What's Gilliam? The fastest? The jump the highest?
All around.
Well, why would Kyle Williams have to be the strongest player on the team? I don't know.
Well, that was known about him, wasn't he? Wasn't it?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what constitutes that. He's benched the most.
I don't know. I can't get my mind around the fullback on any team would be the answer to that. I'm not saying he's not athletic.
What about Kyle Juszczyk for San Francisco?
Christian McCaffrey.
That's not crazy at all. Kyle Juszczyk's an incredible athlete.
He plays fullback.
I look at it from a different. I do look at it from a different lens, Joe. I say, when you can do all those things, he can block, he can. I mean, I know he's not catching at the NFL level, right? But he ran. I just looked up his. I know these are high school, but 18 catches, 280 yards, 3 scores, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so he can. They'll send him into a route. He'll block, but he also plays special teams, runs down the field, he tackles people.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm not telling you, and I'm not here to tell you that Deion Dawkins is totally right. I just think you are leaning way too much into there's no way a fullback could be. This guy does everything.
I'm not saying he's not athletic. I just can't get that he's anyone would be number 1. It's got to be, if you want to tell me he's in the top 10 and make a case, like, maybe. But, yeah, it just gets down to what you consider athletic, I guess, right? Like, I just think of who can run the fastest, who can jump the highest, and who's the strongest. Those would be the 3 things I'd look at immediately. And I think I'd get to, I said Spencer Brown. I didn't say a receiver or like who's just the fastest. I said Spencer Brown.
Do you remember you guys remember the safety who jumped over a car or something the Bills had years ago?
Hold on. Yes.
The Bills had a safety that jumped over a car?
John Wendling.
Yeah.
Come on.
Right? Like John Wendling. So, yeah.
Like Kobe did?
He was, Sal, Wyoming?
I think that's right.
Okay. 5th round draft pick out of Wyoming, John Wendling.
When he jumped over a car?
He jumped over a moving car.
A moving car.
Yeah.
Safety, come on.
Coy Wire was the guy that jumped out.
I'm pretty sure that happened, right?
Pools,
right, Jeremy? Like that's how it happened. Like literally, like I'm saying, some of these guys are just incredible athletes. So I'm thinking, like Cole Bishop is an amazing athlete when you watch him play. Like he can do so much. And Micah Hyde was. Like safeties are guys that a lot of times, tight ends a lot of times are guys that are your best athletes. I don't know how to kind of quantify it and see. Some of these guys are just so many.
It's a tough question.
Such great athletes you don't realize sometimes.
It's a tough question. It's a tough question.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sal. Enjoy the game. We'll be listening.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. You got it.
Yeah. John Wendling. I'm pretty sure that he jumped over a car.